human, right? I obviously have my ups and downs. It's delusional to think you're gonna wake up jolly every day, but I think essentially my base level emotions are pretty happy. But that is not something that comes naturally. I have read so many books, listened to way too many podcasts, I've searched the science, I have observed people around me, and I'm constantly implementing everything that I'm learning. I want to share with you guys everything that I've learned about sustaining day-to-day happiness and how you can do it too. Here's a quick breakdown of what we're going to talk about. First of all, just so we're on the same page, I'm going to explain my definition of happiness. And secondly, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some mindset shifts as well as some tools that you can start implementing right now. And thirdly, I'm going to be sharing with you guys a weekly practice that has single-handedly transformed my emotional well-being. And if you stick around till the end, I'm going to share with you guys something really special to me that I think is not talked about enough, and in my opinion is the fundamental thing to actually having real joy. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. I think it's important to establish the fact that our emotions is a function of our bodies, right? The same way sleeping and eating is a function of our bodies. The thing about our bodies is that they're not made the same. Think about how some people's immune systems are just weaker than others. Mental health is similar to physical health in the sense that there's a biological process. Some people are just more prone to getting diabetes or high blood pressure because of their genetics. Although external factors do play a role, essentially it is just in their genes. The point I'm trying to make is that mental illness like depression and anxiety is an illness. It's not a weakness or a fault of your own. That is because you don't need a reason to have depression or anxiety. The same way nobody has a reason to fall sick. It's just out of their control. I think it's really important that we actually take the time to educate ourselves on mental health and understand it so that we know how to help ourselves. If you're sick, you don't just sit at home, right? You actually try to get help. I am not an expert in any way, which is why I would like to kindly refer you guys to other creators who are actual psychologists who are kind enough to actually share factual and educational content. I have linked a few of my favorite videos that I think would be really helpful if you want to learn more. Although I sincerely believe that a lot of the times happiness is in our own hands, there are a lot of people who are genuinely just not well, and no matter how hard they try, positive thinking would just not be enough. Okay, now let's talk about the mindset. The first thing I want to discuss is having a proactive mindset. Being proactive basically means being in control. It's this understanding that although you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control how you react to it. A lot of the times we give away our power and claim to not have control of things that are clearly in our circle of control. I can give an example to this. Most of the times when we claim that we don't have time for anything, when we claim that work is too hectic, when we claim that we're overworked, a lot of the times is because we haven't actually taken the time to learn how to manage our times properly. A lot of the times is because we have a habit of procrastinating. Just shifting your mindset and realizing that, okay, there are actually certain things that I can do. Someone who is not proactive will say they are victims to everything and they do not take responsibility. And on the other side, having a proactive mindset is you actually saying, okay, what can I actually try and do to help the situation? How can I react to this? And if it's things that you genuinely really cannot change, what can I do to live with this? What can I do to make the situation more bearable for myself? If you feel like you have no control, you're basically miserable because it means you're hopeless. You're not living life. Life is basically just happening to you. You will never find joy like that. Forget about all things that you can't control. Realize that you choose. And I swear, you guys, you choose. The next point is having a gratitude attitude. I know this sounds so cliche because everybody says this, practice gratitude, but really you guys, it's because it's true. The reason we're so unhappy, right, is because we want so much. We're constantly looking at what we don't have. Looking up, try to look down. And I don't mean look down on other people, but rather look down of where you could have been, or look down of where you're coming from, because a lot of us are leaving answered prayers and we are not even realizing because we've already moved on to the next prayer. I think of myself, like a lot of the times when I used to complain about school being so hard, and then I realized actually, like, there are some of my mates who are at home right now, unemployed and wishing they had an opportunity to get an education. If you focus so much on what you don't have, you will never feel content. Watch out. Be on guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist of an abundance of possessions. compensation. This is Luke chapter 12 verse 15. Basically what this verse is saying is that we should guard against constantly wanting more and more and more, being greedy. The biggest thing about gratitude is learning to appreciate where you are right now and learning to look at what you have. The easiest way to actually implement gratitude is to just keep a gratitude journal. Just write down 5 things that you're grateful for. Don't just focus on the big stuff, right? Because obviously I'm grateful for life, I'm grateful for good health. Yes, we know. The whole point of this is for you to actually learn to find gratitude in the small things. So like, just think through your day and think about what made you feel really good. You can say, I'm really grateful for the sun outside. I'm really grateful for the cup of coffee I had. And I promise you guys, according to science, this will make you happy. The next point I want to talk about is emotional independence. Yeah, this is a hard one, but basically it's not depending on other people. It's not putting your happiness and emotions and your joy in the hands of somebody else. It's being able to stand on your own and be happy with yourself. If you constantly have to be on your phone or to be with other people in order to feel okay, then you are not happy. You need to get to a point where you can sit by yourself and have a conversation with yourself and be fine. One thing you need to learn is dodging negative energy, right? If someone's is in a really bad mood and they say something mean to me, right? I literally say to myself, I am dodging this negativity. I will not let you ruin my mood. I brush it off. A lot of the times I won't even respond. I'll just move on with my life and I won't be affected. If you can learn to not depend on anything or anyone else to make you happy, you will experience so much joy. The next point is really interesting. It is people make all the difference. What this means is that the people you have around you have huge impact on how happy you actually feel. Because of the day and age we live in, I'm not just referring to the people we have around us, but also the kind of content we consume, the people we follow, the kind of things that we watch. Because I know a lot of us don't even have friends in real life. Our friends are our phones. Also referring to the friends on your phone. Guys, there's some people who are just vampires. They just drain you. I love people. I genuinely do believe you cannot love God without loving his people, but I think it's okay to love people from afar. Even if it's a really close family member, if that person really sucks the energy out of you, just limit your interaction with them. It's okay. Not to say that you're just cutting people off, but rather you are kindly choosing your own peace. It's gonna be really hard for you to be positive and be happy when everyone around you is constantly feeding you negativity. They're constantly complaining, constantly gossiping. Our minds naturally have a negativity bias. By ourselves alone, there's already so much negativity within us, and when we surround ourselves around negative people and negative content, you will literally be drowning in it and you will not be happy. I'm really picky with people, you guys. I do not have a lot of friends and I'm okay with that. And even on my social media, if something does not serve me, if something does not make me feel good, I am not on social media for entertainment. I'm there for inspiration. I'm there to learn. So whenever I'm on my phone, I'm so inspired. The very few friends that I have, they lift me up. Every time I hang out with them, I feel renewed. Whenever I meet someone, I actually make a mental note in my head that okay, she's nice, but she's just not my person, and that is okay. Once you've found the right people, actually invest in those relationships. This is my biggest weakness, honestly. I think I isolate myself a lot, and that is kind of why I'm not as happy as I should be. Relationships are really important. We're really happy with other people, so just when you do find the right people, hang out with them, make an effort. The next point is actually putting in the work. I think a misconception that we have is that happiness should come naturally, right? I think if everything is going well, you have everything you need, then you're just naturally supposed to be happy, right? Nope, that is not true. What we choose to focus on and what we choose to ignore plays in defining the quality of our lives. Carl Newport. If you want to be healthy, you actually have to put in work. And the same goes with our mental state of mind. You will just not be happy just because. It actually takes work. There's some practices that you do, having a gratitude journal and taking the time to limit and avoid things that will drain your energy. I'm going to be taking you guys through a weekly routine more like a ritual at this point. This is my self-care. This practice is the reason why I'm just always so at peace, and a lot of the times I'm really joyful. I just want to mention that if you do have access to it, get yourself therapy. It's like the best investment that you could ever make. I am a firm believer in a Jesus plus therapy because, you guys, there's a lot. Like, I believe therapy is not just for people who have like mental health issues. Like, I think it's for all of us. Like, as soon as I get my money right, I am investing in therapy. So if you're in a situation where you can do that for yourself right now, don't even think twice about it. Do it. I've labeled this practice of mine self-therapy because essentially that is what it is. It's based on the principles of cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy is a type of therapy that focuses on the relationship between thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and behaviors. Basically, it aligns with the philosophy that if you can change your thinking, then you can change your actions, and if you can change your actions, you can change your life. It kind of reminds me of the scripture that speaks about being in the mind. A lot of the time, the way that we view things is not actually how things actually are. We use our emotions to see things because, yeah, you guys, the strongholds the Bible was talking about, they're all in the mind. So here's what you will need. Firstly, you're gonna need just something to write on, and this is anything. And secondly, it is just 15 minutes once a week. This is so easy, you guys. You can literally start doing it right now. And the hardest thing will literally be just you setting out the 15 minutes once a week to do it. You would rather spend an hour scrolling on Instagram than just take 15 minutes to try and journal. That is just how we are. We don't like what is good for us. I highly recommend that you put this in your calendar, set an alarm, try to just take it seriously. Step number 1 is a warm-up. Just think back to your week and think about, like, what are 5 really good things that happened this week. Step number 2 is my favorite. You vent. Write down 5 things that didn't go well this week, or 5 things that just like didn't sit well with you, 5 things that you feel like should have happened that didn't happen. Just basically let it all out. Now the next step, you are gonna rank them. So number 1 being something that really bothers you the most, and then number 5 being like, it's bad, but it's not a big deal. You're gonna take your number 1 and you're gonna deal with it. Now the idea here is to deal with just one problem every week. And essentially what usually happens is that once you deal with the one thing that bothers you the most, all your other problems sort of fall into place. But even if they don't, they will still be there next week for you to work through them. So you take your number 1, right? You take down all of the evidence that you have to back up or justify. Let's say you wrote down, have a really big presentation or test coming up, and I feel like I'm not prepared for it. I feel like I'm gonna mess it up, right? Basically what you're gonna do is write down why you think you're gonna mess it up, and you're gonna put down things like, I've messed up before. You could say, I'm just not good at public speaking. And these reasons don't even have to be rational. It just has to be what you feel. You can even say, I just feel like it. Just. Step number 4 is to actually challenge your views. What you need to do now is actually pretend as if you are advising someone else. So you're gonna take a look at everything that you've written and then just pretend you were dealing with somebody else's problems, because we are way better at fixing other people's problems. What would you say to your friend if they said, oh, I just feel like I'm gonna mess up? You could say something like, well, feelings are not real. You could say that the only reason you feel that way is because you're afraid. It's all in your head. And you could just talk yourself through why you have no reason to be scared. Let's say you wrote down, I feel like I'm gonna mess up because I have never done this before. Say, yeah, that's true. I've never done this before, but I've done something similar. I put in the time, I can actually work it out. Every single reason and justification that you came up with, you're gonna go through them one by one, advising yourself. Step number 5 is to be proactive and take action. Now that you understand exactly how you feel, and hopefully you're at a point where you're thinking rationally and you realize, we see, okay, I was overreacting, or things not as bad as they actually seem. Come up with a plan of action of how you are going to deal with the situation. What can you do? What is in your control that you can do that can help the situation, so that when you come again next week, this will not be in the list of things that went wrong. Continuing with our example, you would say something like, I'm going to set up time to practice. Make sure you actually say when and how you're going to do it. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to practice more. Be specific. Say, on Wednesday at 5 o'clock when I come back from school, in my room, as soon as I finish eating, I'm going to practice. When you do that, you're most likely to actually follow through with your action. And that is it. You'll be done. And I swear to you guys, by the time you finish doing this, like, you will feel so much relief. If you've made it this far into the video, that means that your heart is open, your intentions are pure, and therefore you deserve to hear the simple truth. Honestly, you guys, everything that I've just explained to you guys are methods. If you implement them consistently, I know that they're gonna work because these are things that I actually do. But to be honest, if you don't have a firm foundation, if you are not grounded, there is nothing bigger than you. You will struggle. I genuinely believe that true everlasting joy comes from God. I'd like to encourage you to really let God be the foundation of your joy, that when you do go on to implement these things, they are grounded by something. Honestly, we're just humans and life really is a lot, and I think giving everything to God and letting Him be your joy, because the joy that comes from God is so rich and it fills you up. I swear to you guys, that is the simple truth. I am obsessed with growth, whether be it spiritually, emotionally, physically. I'm just obsessed with improving, and I want to share my journey with you guys so that you can do the same. So if you want to level up together, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and if you do try any of these things, come back and tell us how it went. Yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.